Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations, and today we are going to do the third video in my 3-video series. So last one, just revolving around kind of the new year and organizing spaces. And what I wanted to do was give you ideas about message centers. So I mean, if your household is anything like mine, you end up having to leave little notes all over the place for different people. You know, mail gets mixed in with junk mail and all kinds of things. So I wanted to give you some options from thrifted items. So I've got 3 different little projects and, you know, all fairly easy to find. Now this one I thrifted. It's kind of tied together up here with a hanger, and I like that idea, but obviously it's missing some from the bottom, and it's got some little drilled nail holes in here. So what I'm going to do is get my glasses out so I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to take off this cording so it's easier to repaint these boards. And that's really the first step with any of these projects, is getting them zhuzhed up color-wise, right? So making sure, oh Lord, am I ever gonna remember how to be able to do this? Okay, I'll just tie it my own little way then if I can't figure it out again. But I don't wanna have to try and paint around. Originally, this was made in China. There's this sticker. So, really, I think we could have made boards anywhere. But be that as it may, whatever it looked like before, it was made in China. So, oh, and these are screwed in somehow. There we go. All right. And to come apart. Okay, so we can reattach them. I just need to get them painted up first. I just need to zhuzh it up a little. This is a little bit old and tired. And what I'm going to use on this is this lovely color from Fusion Mineral Paint, which is called Newell. And it's kind of, it dries a little bit darker than this. It's kind of like this gray green or green gray, because I think that's what it looks like. So I'm just going neutral for this one. I don't need anything that's going to be super bold. And really for your message centers, you know, you might want to, okay, I can't say that because I'm not necessarily going neutral on all of them, but I'm going neutral on this one. 2 of them, and they're all pretty neutral. Okay, I have 3 different ideas for you from different things that I thrifted over time. And this first one, really, these are all simple ideas. As with anything, the biggest change is getting it painted. So I'm going to get the necessary coats on this, and then we'll see about the next steps in getting things all reattached, which may be my biggest challenge of all. Now, this one is just a divided tray, little wooden divided tray. Nothing special or unusual about it, but I like that it's got kind of the natural wood on the inside. I don't mind that green color on the outside either, quite honestly. It reminds me of Apothecary Blue by DIY, which is one of my faves. But we're going to switch it up a little bit, but I just want to give you an idea with this one how quick and easy this could be to create something that you're able to, with almost 0 effort, turn into a message center for yourself and your family. So I have Farm Fresh, which is almost like Apothecary. It's just a slightly deeper green. So I'm going to give this a coat. We'll see if I need another coat because it's kind of green over green. The difference with this is that it has a Cuba stamp on the other side, and I may need to, not that side, this side. So I may need to paint that over a little bit more, but I'm gonna get this painted out. And bear in mind, you can do this with any kind of divided tray. And I'm just picking a divided tray so that I have 4 different little message centers. So this could be for perhaps 4 different people in the family. If you've got a family of 4, it could relate to different things. I mean, if you really wanted to have an organizer by day of the week, then, you know, you're doing more. 7 would be a bit awkward. Maybe you have 8 and a bonus one. maybe an emergency notice for the family. But if you've got a family that you're not all together at the same time and you got to keep people informed, teaching them where those messages are going to be is a good thing. Now, I know a lot of people use their refrigerators, right? That they stick notices up on there. They can get kind of busy looking, or if you have a fridge like mine, I have a small kitchen. I have a lot of spices. So what I did do was I put a bunch of my spices, especially the ones that I use most often, in little metal tins with magnetic bottoms. And I have, they stick on my fridge because I have a metal fridge. So my fridge doubles as my spice rack, quite honestly. So there is no room for messages, but this can be messages in your kitchen to your family. It could be maybe you have an office and you want to have a place to be able to keep special reminders and notices for yourself. Maybe you just need, you know, maybe you've got a lot of doctor's appointments and things and trying to keep them straight, or keeping all the paperwork for different meetings straight, or, you know, it's just, I'm calling them message centers, but the nature and type of those messages is really driven by you and your life and your family and your work and your needs, right? It's all about what works for you. This third one is a little bit of an oddball. Good bones, let's just say. All right, so it's this metal frame with wires going across and 3 birds. Now, here's the thing about this. On the back, it looks like it was white. So it looks like somebody spray painted it black and maybe didn't do the best job because there's white showing through. There are some drips, which I'm not going to be able to get rid of, or it's not going to be worth it to try and get rid of. But here's what I'm going to do. Because I don't look forward to painting these things, I'm going to see if I have any white. All right, let me just put it down so I'm not looking like I'm talking through jail bars. I'm going to see if I have any white spray paint. If I do, then I'll just try spray painting the little rails, because I can, and then I'll just paint out the outside of it. And this way I can then distress back to the black. That's my plan. So I'm going to try and do some of that spray painting today, just before I leave, so that the spray paint doesn't mess with my head. I get to spray and leave. And then tomorrow, when I get back here in the shop, we can take a look at doing the distressing and where else we're going to go with that. Message center. Remember, that's what we're thinking for it. So I have an idea. I just have to hit the dollar store when I leave. And hopefully they've got what I want. So fingers crossed on this one. First, that I have white spray paint. Second, that the dollar store has what I want. And then we're back tomorrow to carry on. Now that our paint has dried, I want to wet distress the outside. So I just have a wet cloth and I'm just gonna go around the edges. So this was that DIY clay-based paint, which is reactivated with water. Makes it really easy to be able to just kind of wet distress it. Here we're gonna get a little bit of that two-tone. We had that lighter green underneath, and then we did the slightly darker green. So it's gonna give a nice contrast on the outside. Once this is done, I'm gonna have to wait for my paint to dry again before, avalanche of things. So I'm gonna have to wait for this paint to dry before I can wax it. But when it's dry, I'm gonna seal it with clear wax by DIY. So I'm gonna get this part done, and then I'm gonna come back and talk about what we're gonna do with the inside. While I'm waiting for the outside to dry, I just want to kind of almost feed this dry wood on the inside. We've got it dusted out, but it's, you know, just kind of tired looking. So I could just wax it, but I'm going to hemp oil it. And you can see the difference between the one I've done and the ones that I have not. Now I'm using hemp oil, which is a wood finish by Fusion. This is the small size. The nice thing about this is there's no smell to it. It's food safe, so if you wanted to use it on your cutting boards, etc., you could. And it can go directly over your painted surfaces as well. So I could use this instead of my DIY wax on the outside. It would be perfectly fine and appropriate for that. Often I will apply it with a cloth, but because I've got tight corners and tight spaces in here, I have chosen to do it with a brush instead, just to make my life a little bit easier. If I was doing it on a flat tabletop surface, I would use a rag. After I just mentioned that you could do the hemp oil over your paint, it occurred to me that maybe some of you have never thought to do that, that you've only ever used something like hemp oil on raw wood, in which case, let me show you something different then. So I haven't waxed this surface yet. You'll see this paint, get darker now as I apply that hemp oil. And you can see that hemp oil starts sinking into that paint. It'll sink down into the wood beneath it. And as it dries, and it will dry, it will be a nice, hard, solid finished surface. Much like with wax, it feels a little bit wet or moist or something to the touch. You leave it overnight and then it's rock hard and you can polish it. And it will be the same with this. And you can see that little bit of oil, I'm able to still keep moving it around and it works on that entire side. And now you can see where we've got that two-tone effect of that original paint color and then the new slightly darker green that went on it, which I'm loving. So now I'm just going to finish hemp oiling all of this. We have this piece. Looks so much better in white, doesn't it? A couple of things that we have to do to this. First of all, we need to wet distress the edge because as much as I spray painted this centerpiece white, I did not do it on the edge because I wanted to be able to distress back through that white to that black. So I am going to reveal some of that black detailing with my distressing. And because I did the white in that clay paint, this is going to remove very easily with that wet cloth. We're reactivating it. It's going to make my life easier, but then I need to seal this. So again, I can use a sealer of choice. I could, once this is dry, I could seal it with a wax or a polyacrylic, whatever I would prefer. Okay, so I'm gonna carry on, and you can see the distressing. So we give it that kind of aged kind of look to it. So I'm gonna be doing that. The other thing I'm gonna be doing is I want the birds to stand out. So I have, but I still want it to have kind of that cottagey feel. So I have French eggshell, which is this, getting it all over me. Okay, obviously I need a new piece of plastic. So the plastic over this is because this is an all-in-one paint. And your all-in-one paints have a built-in sealer. So if you get any around your rim, and you can see I have tons around my rim, I am not a neat painter. Or if you have any on the lid, then if you seal it directly, that sealer is going to seal your lid to your jar. And now you have to try and crack the seal to be able to get it open. So much easier to just put a plastic bag, like a double thickness plastic bag, or at least a double thickness of plastic wrap over top, right? But what I'm going to do is I am going to do 2 coats of that lovely soft duck egg blue over the birds. And just because they're 3-dimensional, I feel compelled to paint both sides of them. So this isn't a strong contrast. It's just a nice light contrast. The other thing I'm going to be painting is from the dollar store. I have some little mini clothespins. So I am also going to paint my clothespins. Now, this is not a fun thing to do, right? I have a couple of medium-sized ones, which is what I would like. I have 2 big ones and 5 medium. Okay, I'm going to do the mediums, and then I'm going to look for more mediums. So what I am going to do is I'm going to spread them out on my spoon. So that now I can paint that, and then I can find a way, place and a way to rest it. But I want to have those in that same soft duck egg blue color. All right, these boards have all dried, and I just want to liven them up a little bit. So I'm taking some DIY white wax, and I'm going to wax over the entire board. Now, this was our fusion paint, so I don't want you to think you can't wax over the surface of it. If you like the feel of wax, even though your fusion paint is sealed, you can wax over it, right? Just gives extra protection, extra durability. In this case, it's less about the protection and the durability as it is about the look. So we had Newell down, which is that green gray. And what we're doing now is just applying the wax, and then I am taking a lint-free rag, and I am just going to wipe the excess away. Now, I'm not trying to rub it all off, but I am trying to soften that look, right? Hang on, let me grab one of the other boards and I'll show you. So this is the difference between our 2 boards. That's the difference that the white waxing did. It still has that gray-green undertone, but it's got a softer look and feel to it. The nice thing about this little box is that when we hang it, there's also shelves. So you can always not just add messages, but you could add stuff. So you could put keys, whatever you wanted. Now, to be able to post some messages, easiest thing is to add in, I think these are called alligator clips, are they? So if they're called something else, let me know. I think they're alligator clips. I don't know. If I had to go looking for them, I thrifted a bag of different sized ones. So these ones seemed like a perfect little size to put in here. I have little tiny screws. This is, of course, a little bit awkward to be able to screw in, but this wood is pretty soft, so I should be okay. Okay, there we go. So then we have the little clip in there, that looks crooked, that we can just push and add our little messages. So I'm gonna add the other clips and we'll carry on with the next one. All right, we have our 3 boards, and if you recall, we had metal rods that kind of went in already. So we're just going to fit those together again. Perfect. But what we have to do is now attach them. That doesn't really attach them. So I have just white cording from the dollar store that I'm going to double over because it's not super thick. And then I have the extra protection. So, okay, that will work. Just kind of looking. All right, I just want to make sure that I have enough and that I'm not going to be short. This really was just from the dollar store, so if I have more than I need, I'm okay with that. All right, so cut that off. But here's my halfway point. Let me. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay. There's my halfway point. What I want is that in the middle. So I'm going to go down through the front. And then up through the back. There we go. And then through the back again. It's just lacing it, right? And we'll be able to take that up to the top. And I'm just going to do the same to the other side. Tie it off at the top and then do the same, but tie it off in the back, right? And then I have larger alligator clips than I used on the little box that I'm going to clip. And here I can do 6. So 3 and 3. So we're gonna get those attached. And then this one's done. Let's take a look at our finished projects. So first, we had our little crate. Now, I just got a little sawtooth hanger on the back, so easy enough to hang. This is actually very light. I love the contrast of the 2 greens on it. Beautiful, beautiful finish with that hemp oil, and definitely brought that inside wood to life. A simple enough little project. You can get boxes like this almost all the time at thrift stores. Adding just a couple of those little clips, alligator clips? I don't know, I'm going with it. So adding some of those little binder clips, they're kind of like binders, right? Like clipboard clips. Okay, I'm going with that now. But adding some of those makes it easy enough to be able to clip in notes. You could have a segment if you got, there's 4 sections here. If you've got 4 people in your family, each person could have their own little note section if need be. You can certainly leave heavier items sitting on the rests here, the shelves that are there, so you've got a little bit of an advantage of being able to do more than just messages. But you can certainly have this for any other kind of messaging system that you want. We have our big board. Now, I just tied off the ends with a knot on the back. I like the contrast with the black. I tied this in a bow at the top so that people could adjust it. I mean, if they wanted to not have a hanger at all, they can just tie it tight and use that with a picture hook. If they wanted to have it, then they can do that. So I left it so it was flexible rather than my determining how they were going to use it. But again, this gives 6 different centers for different kind of messages, easily for, you know, artwork if you wanted for the kids as an alternative to hanging that elsewhere. But I think that this is a super cute little makeover for something that you're going to be able to use in your home and have it be functional. Think office space even, right? Our little birds are done. And I ended up, okay, I'm talking through jail again, but I ended up doing some of the medium-sized clips as well as those 5 big ones because we've got little narrow spaces here, right? And the big ones just wouldn't have fit anyway, so it works out nicely. I think that this is just super cute to be able to hang your messages on. I could see it being in an office with different memos. You could hang your kids' artwork on this as well. But I like how the little clothespins end up looking almost like little birds sitting up there as well. And that was the idea in doing them in the same color as the birds. I hope more than anything else, this just gets you looking at some of your organizational systems, how you guys keep in touch with one another if you seem to be, you know, passing ships in the night. I know my home seems like that sometimes with weird hours and weird shifts. So a way to be able to keep in touch with people, or just even have this, you know, in place in a home office, perhaps as memos to yourself, you know, an ongoing grocery list on one peg and different reminders and to-dos. I think that works as well. But something like this also works for Valentine's cards or birthday cards or Christmas cards. I mean, it's multifunctional that way. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. As always, love to hear from you, and I definitely look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.